so today we have another project that's probably going to be on the weird scale and definitely on the not necessary whatsoever scale. But as you see here, we are in an ocean, and by the looks of stuff, you can see that we've already done quite a bit of work here in this area. I did not originally start recording, of course, because this was started during a 12-hour live stream that I did, so sort of a brain after that was kind of gone. But yeah, so this right here is going to be an area for our fish farming area. And rather doing that in a regular square perimeter, we are going to be making it in a different shape. As you can see, there's a different shape. It's a fish shape, which I'm not going to show yet, which you probably already saw from the thumbnail anyways. But yeah, this is going to be our area for that. And to do so, we wanted to make a full perimeter that we wanted to do here. But not a square that we'd usually do before. Obviously, the center bit is a square, but that's just to maximize efficiency. We're going to be draining that out automated with flying machines. You can see are being built up right now. I did flatten all of this stuff down to here. I got back to 10 million total blocks mined after our unfortunate stat reset we had recently. But yeah, Rubik has been doing quite a bit of work on the outside here. As you can see, we almost have 3 full sections drained on the outside with the spikes all the way down to bedrock. But yeah, the one little big one over here, of course, the tail is the one remaining. But we are now going to drain the center here with these sweepers. So you can see that Cod and I are going to build up. And then once this main section is done, that's the hardest part because, you know, it's the most water, which is why we wanted to drain it out like this instead of just doing sand walls across the full thing. So be smart with it, do sand walls on the edges, and then in the middle we can do the automated way. But yeah, I'm going to build up these sweepers, and we'll be back probably once this area is fully cleared out. That way we can work on the decoration and the farm itself, because we are probably going to make another perimeter at the same time. Alright, so it's about a month or so later, and we basically have the full area all mined out down to bedrock. So this water draining definitely took a while, so huge thanks to Rubik that did a huge majority of the outside, if not all the outside water draining here. This definitely would not have been completed in the time that we have so far without all that help in the edge there. But everything's all done. You can see we're starting the black walls. These are actually going to go up to that snow layer that we used for the outline and everything like that. That way we cover all of the, you know, stuff in the background there, and we also get fully immersed. That way we don't just see regular terrain in the distance. But yeah, now it's also time to do the floor decoration. I'm hoping to get all of this done in one time lapse here, so we're going to get cracking with that. And then it'll be time for the actual farm itself, which we will build in the center, of course. As you can see right now, there are no fish spawned anywhere in the world because there is nowhere to spawn. Same thing with squid and glow squid. just because there's nowhere for them to spawn at all, because everything's all cleared out. But yeah, really like how this area turned out. It's going to look even better with the decoration that we're going to build up next. So let's get cracking with that, and we'll be back once that's all done. Alright, so the overworld decoration is all completed. Everything is all in place. I don't need to worry about glass in the floor because fish obviously need water to spawn, and if there is no water, then we don't gotta worry about spawn proofing that, which is really good. We might end up remaking part of the floor on top of the farm again, like we did with some other previous farms, just because this floor deco kind of needs to be seen in its full, full form here with everything for it to sort of be worth it. And if the farm kind of takes up, majority of this with the face and a couple eyes, I think the eye in this part here, it would kind of look a little bit weird. So we're gonna see what we're gonna do with that. We're still gonna figure out where spawning is for the fishes. I think this changed in newer versions. Of course, we are still in 117, so I don't entirely know what the spawning algorithm is for the fish, just because, the wiki says one thing, but apparently it's different in 117, so I gotta do some more research to figure out what Y level exactly we need to place the fish farm at. That will kind of affect the rates, but then again, it's fish. We're not really going to use it all too much, so it doesn't really matter that much in theory, but kind of just cool to have it for the, the coolness factor of having like a really fast farm that, not many people would do, especially in mine out and something like this in an ocean, which this looks pretty cool, and I love how this floor deco turned out. So yeah, we're going to figure out what we're going to do for that, but we're also going to head to the nether side because that perimeter is also completed as well. Kind of just do a lot of perimeters around here. Nothing new. Yeah, we redid the piston bolt here. This used to be sort of near our old Guardian farm, which we had to get rid of with this perimeter because everything is taken out of here and made a perimeter. It used to be like a drop chute. I would almost say like right around this basalt delta area. There was a drop chute for our old Guardian farm. I say the slow old Guardian farm. It was still 400,000 some, items per hour, which for early game is pretty huge. I think I made that, before like episode 10 or something, and it definitely served us well. But yeah, full area is all cleared out. You might be wondering why we have this gray platform down here. This is just for supporting blocks. Because we are going to use a lot of sand and gravel in the floor decoration, and it would be otherwise annoying to place that there. So what I did is I built a 4 game tick floor placer by Glow Squid, and for a 256 scale, it doesn't take long at all to build that floor placer up. It took longer to run, I think about, I want to say like 4 hours or so, maybe 5, to go all the way across, but it was AFK with thanks to shadow items, so it was really easy to do. Now that's all there. Now we can start making the decoration around and around and around. You might notice that we're also not breaking the bedrock roof for this project. That's mainly because we're right underneath our nether hub, so we really can't do that. There's so many bolts and stuff in the way, it would be sort of impossible to do so. There is some tech to break the bedrock below, but that's not a 3-way machine net, which would mean we need to make over, you know, 1,000 of those machines, and I really don't want to do that. So we'll see how this goes. We have something planned to go on top. Usually we don't do roofs for our decorations just because that sort of hinders the rates, and the cool factor of having the bedrock roof fully broken is really nice. However, in this one, since we can't do it, we're going to just, you know, move along and do something a bit different. Well-timed backup here. I mean, it's not really that big of a deal. This suppression is a very, very easy. So I might as well get started on building this. And what this will do, basically for us, this little suppressor here, that I believe does not work in newer versions because, you know, Mojang patched it, but this little suppressor is going to get me a very easy 1x1 portal that we're going to have for our output. Now you can see I have this giant windmill here, you can call it. It's made of glass just because I wanted to have the drop chute sort of clear. Now, yes, I know fish don't need to fall all the way down to the bottom here, but I think it'd be cool to have them fall in a lot, since we're not going to really care about MSBT all too much with this farm, let alone run it at all either, but I think it'll just be cool to have them falling through like this. So yeah, this mini suppressor here is going to do that, get us our 1x1 portal very, very easily. So we have the slime block there, which is exactly where we need to put it, so we got to break it there. Well, that's the one we need to keep, so I'm going to put that sign there. That's what I made for this, to sort of get me the exact area I need. And this mini suppressor is pretty cool, so we'll see, just build this up real quick and make this 1x1 portal. I'll be back once this is fully built. Alright, that only took a couple seconds and we're all built up. Just update those rails, that way they are not butted, and with this armor stand here, I guess that already worked. We'll put that there. I guess that did work already. Yep, so that already works, which is good. So all we need to do is light this portal, which I gotta get a flint and steel out of my ender chest because I forgot to do that. So this will leave the 1x1 on this one right here. So we break this top corner right here. We're left with our 1x1. Now what we need to do though is we'll obviously just break the rest of the obsidian. Or I'll do what I need to do now. We can break this one right here. That's gonna be fine. Don't gotta worry about that. Break this bottom one there. Just break this one. That's why it's easier to see what I'm doing. Place a sign here. Place a sign on top of that next to that rail. That'll trigger the update suppressor. Now all we do is break the bottom one here. And boom, there's your 1x1 portal. Very, very easily done. Thanks to this small suppressor that took maybe about a minute or so, if of that. And break the rest of this now. We're good to go. We got a 1x1 portal. Our spot that we want it at, which we don't got to worry about anything now. And now we can just take down everything here because we are all done and dusted. So what would have taken probably, I want to say, close to an hour with old suppressors only took about a minute or so, which is really cool. Shame this isn't in the available to be done in the new versions. You still need to build, you know, it's obviously not update suppression anymore, it's update skipping, so kind of sucks, but back in 1.17, which we are still in, this is definitely still possible, and probably what I'll be using if I ever need a bunch of 1x1 portals, or just any 1x1 portals for anything right now. I'll probably use it for slime too, depending on how many portals we need there, but we shall see. So yeah, I'm going to finish getting on with this collection, or this sort of drop shoot here. And once this is done, I'm going to go build the farm on the overworld side. That way we can sort of have that all working, and it's just kind of left to the decoration to be done, and we're all done and dusted here. So get back to that. We'll be back once this area has some more progress. Alright, so the farm is basically done here. I have one little slice left of water to fill. And despite how simple this farm actually is to make, I feel like I've been working on this for about like 4 or 5 hours to get this farm all fully done. Which is kind of, you know, more than I thought, especially when looking at it. You're like, oh, that doesn't look that's too bad. The most time-consuming part, obviously, is going to be the ice here that we're doing right now. And I'm using these pumpkins because we don't need water sources on the bottom block, because obviously those pistons will push forward and delete it if it was there anyway. And I believe that fish actually need falling water to actually spawn, so which is why we have this too high water stream, but we have it like this in a certain way. Now, I could be wrong, but maybe it's just like 3 high water, which is why we have the waterlogged slabs at the bottom, which is the first layer, which I think took alone like 2-3 hours to make, just because there were so many for that. The other layers, very simple, very easy to do. Bunch of observers and pistons and a little bit of obsidian. But yeah, there's a little bit more slabs I got to put on top of this observers here. That way the fish kind of can't jump out technically, even though they're not going to be able to move anyway. But yeah, so we're just using these pumpkins as a temporary block, because otherwise I would have to break these blocks. And the pistons will just break them, and it'll either go into the portal or it'll just despawn. So that's really the main benefit, or the easiest way I think it is to create this water on this level. The bottom level is pretty easy for the slabs, just surround everything where you need to place ice first, and then you'll be chilling because the water can't flow anywhere, and then you place the slabs in that way. But yeah, last little bit here of the ice. I've been doing this for probably about an hour and a half now for this layer, so overall we're getting there, and probably about like, you know, a little bit to place all of the observers, or all the slabs on top of the observers, to fully finish this farm off, which is all we got to do there, and we're definitely done. But yeah, everything's all lit up for the portals, so a lot of pigment here. Really can't do anything about that. We could sort of just bring these walls over here to make sure they can't escape that area, but I'm not too worried about it. I mean, it's really not that big of a deal, so yeah, wanted to show that off just in case you plan to build this farm yourself and you're wondering how you can really get that water there without having to place buckets, because like I said, this part where the pumpkins are is just flowing water. So so this part here where you see the red box, you can look at the top right here. The schematic says water level 8, and that is the flowing water, the first block of flowing water, because water can flow 8 blocks. So if we go to the actual water, then we look at this. Falling is false, which is what water 0 is, because it's not flowing anywhere. But yeah, that's all done and dusted. Only thing I might do is block off the center here. These center portals, I might place something to stop these guys. So I have an extra bit of glass. I might go around like this and just block these portals off. I don't know entirely yet, but we'll see. I kind of just don't want the pigment to sort of get into the AFK area, so I'm very well just might do this, and we'll be chilling to not have to worry about them being aggroed or something. So that's the AFK spot right here. You have your lever to turn it on. I'm not going to turn it on yet because I don't want any fish to spawn. The good thing about building it this way with the pumpkins is until you turn the farm on the first time, no fish can spawn, even though you have the water right there. You can see by that cyan color, that 40, there are no fish available to spawn, which is good. So we know we built our farm in the right spot too with our AFK. There is nothing, no water around us, which is the big benefit of the pufferfish. We'll be back once the full nether side is completed and we're all good to go to run the actual farm. Alright, so a bunch of time later, and we have the final finished product on the other side. You saw me make the 1x1 portal up there. It is now surrounded by the glass windmill that I did obviously change the glass that way you can see everything like that. So I think they fall roughly 70 blocks or so from the portal up here. You can see it right down in there. I put a block in here, that way they sort of like, if they once fall straight down, they kind of jump off to the side. That way we get like a big circle of fish that fall all the way down into the giant hopper down here. That then funnels everything into a 1x1 that gets then aligned over here, shot across here. We're only storing a little bit of the tropical fish and all of the puffer fish. This is going to be a way we're going to get all the pufferfish for our potion brewer sometime in the near future. Everything gets stored down here. I think I took a lot of it to main storage, especially the pufferfish. That way we have it all ready for that. We still have quite a lot of tropical fish here that, of course, we cannot really do anything with. But yeah, as you can tell here, this full nether side was inspired by SpongeBob and pretty much is a replica of quite a number of SpongeBob things. So again, we're right off here, as you can see it in the nether. Hopefully YouTube doesn't compress it too much where it's hard to see, but yeah, everything's all in here. We got the sky, which I do love how that turned out, and it was also pretty easy to do. And then we have the floor, which is of course the sand and the stuff like that. And then various amounts of kelp and villages and crusty crabs and all that kind of stuff. The main house is back there, of course. But yeah, of course, fits the fish theme very, very well. And then we're going to just head up to the top here. We're going to see this thing in action. So all I got to do here is just jump down here. And then we'll get fishes spawning. We'll get a bot there. We'll turn this on. And get out of here and head to the nether. That way we actually can turn the collection on as well. But yeah, there's a lot of just pistons pushing into the water stream there. You can already see a lot of the fishes falling down there. It gets pretty crazy with the amount of mobs. You can see when I'm down here, the fish range is a bit too low. So because they have a different spawning thing. So the area I showed earlier, fortunately that is not the correct area. So, but here we can see all the fishes were roughly about 450, slightly under 500, or basically 500 fishes at any given point in time in here, which is just absolutely crazy. And we're not even storing close to the capacity of fish that we are getting. You can see we're getting a bit of bone meal as well. We probably could store that. It's not really worth it though. I think there's also a little bit of cod in there. But we have other ways to get the cod as well as the bone meal, of course. And this is really only made for the pufferfish as well as tropical fish. This is the only farm we have for those two. But yeah, so let's put a bot here as well. That way I can show you guys the shulker box loaders, even if there's only a couple of those right there. The fish is still going down. We're pretty much always at max capacity with the these tropical fish. The pufferfish is usually pretty slow, as you can tell. It's still pretty fast compared to other various ways of farming it, but if we go to the tropical fish here, we just missed a shulker box getting filled. These are 6x minimum pre-fill loaders by Phil Goodinator. They work wonders and, of course, allow you to get away with 2x hoppers with only having to do 2 stacks of the items at the minimum for each of the filters, which is really nice, especially on large scales. If you have done large load and arrays before, you'll know that getting the filters is always the most tedious project of it. But yeah, everything's gonna funnel down into the center here and pushed down there. You can see we occasionally lose a little bit to the top of the fence post, which is also why I wanted to have this glass block here to force them for the most part away from that. I could solve this issue by doing like a full line of glass blocks down the center. That way we wouldn't get any drops on top of this thing right here. But it's not that big of a deal, as you can tell. It's a lot of fish anyway, and if I lose a couple of stacks per hour, I'm not going to be the biggest concern, as we don't even store everything. So as long as these hoppers are fully satisfied throughout the whole time, then I am perfectly okay with that. But yeah, so we got already 9 stacks of pufferfish, I think, since I last checked this. So I think that's still pretty fast. And then we, of course, almost have this another shulker box filled to this guy over here. You can see the farm in action. Just in case you wanted to see what's happening here, pretty much all that's happened is just a wave of pistons. Every 16 game ticks is getting pulsed by those pistons, which is why it's pretty taxing on the client side. The main lag you're getting from this is all the fish. It's not really the pistons. It is pretty easy to do this. I mean, obviously you're just pulsing pistons all the way down the full spawning sphere of the fish. So you get quite a number of them. It's pretty hard to see them spawning because they pretty much get instantly teleported. You can see a little bit right there. They're pretty much gone within a little bit of time. So yeah, still very happy with how this area turned out, even with the farm taking up a huge majority of it. We probably could have positioned it a little bit better to not take up as much as the perimeter, but I still love how it turned out. I mean, you can tell it's perfect pretty much in my eyes with how this thing turned out. One last look at the nether side here. We got all of the fishes just spewing down the total windmill there. So just make sure, I think we got a full shulker box now, probably, right? Yeah, there we go. This one's also got almost another one done, so what we'll do is we will just go and turn this off. All right, so farm has been turned off. Let's make sure we turn this collection off, otherwise something might go wrong with that getting unloaded. So just that short amount of time, we already got pretty much 2 shulker boxes of pufferfish. I think it does buffer 1 box in there, but we got quite a bit of tropical fish from that as well. So yeah, definitely still very pleased with how this area turned out, especially the decoration on the overworld as well as the nether. Definitely out of our comfort range for the nether side, that's for sure. But it was a fun challenge to sort of wrap in the whole decoration together, and of course all the other detail and blocks with the actual SpongeBob sort of style here. So yeah, if that's up, so make sure you like, subscribe, all sorts of things, and I'll see you in the next one.